If you write or work on music that requires any type of vocal editing, listen up. I'm going to teach you how to edit your vocals incredibly fast with a brand new update to Synchro Arts Revoice Pro. Revoice Pro 5 is now available, and I'm going to show you all the new features and my initial thoughts to help you decide if this is something that you should consider buying. Now, if you're wondering,
Bobby, what is Revoice Pro?
it's essentially a vocal production toolbox. Basically, it's just some standalone software that integrates with your DAW that allows you to very quickly edit your vocal performances. And it can literally do everything from time stretching and aligning to pitch correcting to even de-essing or matching the level of certain syllables in your performances. And here's the best part. This software will actually do all of that stuff automatically for you. It's literally one mouse click. Technology is getting crazy. It's a massive time saver. Now, for full transparency, Synchro Arts is actually sponsoring this video. They sent me a copy before it was out so that I could review it for all of you. But you have my word that everything in this video is my honest opinion, and I'll be as transparent as I possibly can to help you decide if the software is worth it. So let's start with my initial thoughts about the previous version of Revoice Pro 4. If I'm being honest, I really didn't like the last version of Revoice that much, which is why you've never seen a tutorial about how to use that software from me. Now, it's not because the software is bad. It's actually really good at timing and tuning vocals. But I just didn't like the process of using the software. It was kind of clunky and not very intuitive to me. Something else that kind of drove me crazy is if you were trying to align and tune different vocal stacks that had harmonies that weren't direct octaves of your lead track. Revoice Pro would just force the harmonies to basically match the lead vocal, which is annoying because that's what I wanted. I wanted them to have different notes. There were two workarounds I found, but it required you to go and set up protected regions, or you had to process each pair of harmonies separately, so it just wasn't great. But guess what? Synchro Arts finally solved that issue. In Revoice Pro 5, they've come out with a smart pitch technology, which will identify if a vocal track is a harmony to that lead reference track and will tune it separately, which is a huge improvement to my workflow. Not only that, but they've kind of revamped the tuning portion of Revoice Pro and integrated a bunch of new features that were only in Repitch, which is their other vocal tuning software. They've added Repitch's timing, volume, and level controls and revamped their note separator tool. So this gives us the ability to now add shape points to fine-tune any of the little nuances in a vocal. This way you can maintain that natural emotion that's in the vocal without it sounding sterile and overprocessed. Another workflow improvement that I'm super pumped about is the ability to preview the editing that's happening in Revoice directly in your DAW without needing to export and re-import the audio files. This completely eliminates the old workflow where you had to export the files out of Revoice and then import them into your DAW. So if you want to see how Revoice Pro 5 compares to those other products, you can just check out that video that's up here. This session is a perfect example of the power of the new editing workflow in Revoice Pro because we have a lead vocal, we have a double that isn't perfectly timed or pitched to this lead. We have vocal harmonies that are not direct octaves of the lead vocal or the reference track. And then we also have an octave lower that we can compare to see how well it will tune the octave to the lead track as well. Here's a quick sample of the song.
Girl, you the fattest chick that I seen all night in this club. Excuse me, I'm drunk.
Let's listen to the main vocal and the double.
That I seen all night in this club. Excuse me, I'm drunk. I've been on all kind.
Sounds pretty good, but if we actually pan these left and right, we can hear that there are some imperfections in the timing and the pitch.
I don't know what time it is, but I know I'm trying to hit. Tell me if
Here's the vocal harmony.
like some Levi's, Hollister, Amber.
We listen to the octave.
I don't know what time it is, but I know I'm trying to.
So this take is a little bit pitchier, but Revoice Pro has got our back. So to use this in a session, all you need to do is load Revoice. Oh, that is not Revoice. That is the recovery partition. Some very important things that we need to do first to make sure that this works right. Go to the window and then settings. We need to tell Revoice any types of offsets or timing or tempo differences that might exist. Otherwise, it won't put the audio files in the right position in the Revoice Pro session. Our tempo is 140. That's all we want to do to make sure that this is going to be perfect. Okay, we can then highlight all the tracks that we want to copy and fix. And we're just going to drag and put them right in the revoice session, and it will automatically align everything. It knows exactly where to place them in the timeline here because we set that up in that settings window. Awesome. So let's play the audio from revoice directly.
Girl, you the finest chick that I seen all night in this.
So there's no effects, right? It's just playing the dry audio, but we can sync this session directly to our DAW session by adding in the Revoice Pro Link plugin. Now, if you want to add this to all these tracks in Cubase, I think you can just hold Alt and Shift or something and then click this, and it's going to add that plugin to every single track. Now, to sync this up, we just come in and set destination track to match what it is in Revoice. Now, you want to put this Revoice Pro Link plugin on the first insert chain. Otherwise, when it pulls the audio over from your Revoice session, it's going to put it after all your effects.
Girl, you the finest chick that I seen all night in this.
So now it's actively pulling in the audio that we have in Revoice and just make the sound all crazy to show that it automatically updates in our session.
Girl, you the finest chick that I seen all night.
So it actually works. So after we tune and time all these vocals, we can go back to our DAW, just hit play, and see if we have to make any adjustments. Way, way better than coming in here and manually exporting each of these tracks. So the standard workflow in Revoice Pro 5 is to fix our lead vocal track first, and then apply that corrected vocal track to every single other harmony, double, whatever. And then make all the other doubles, harmonies, background vocals match that corrected lead track. To edit this lead track, all we have to do is go to adjust pitch, timing, and level. You'll see that this window has changed. We can zoom in on just this window by clicking this button here. Now we have a very big version of all of the pitch notes in our chorus. If you hold Alt and then use your scroll wheel, you can zoom in. If you hold Shift, you can move left and right. Really helpful to do this quickly. Revoice Pro is smart. It can detect what key this track is in to help us more quickly go and edit the audio. You just go to Detect Scale, which is the letter D, and you can see all of the notes have been updated to reflect the notes that were sung. Okay, so this just kind of gives us a nice visual reference for getting these pitches to snap to the right key. So we're going to want to split this up. You just push the I button, which is the cutter tool, and we're just going to make those notes separate. Then we want to choose the selector tool, which is also O. Now, if you want to snap the note center to an actual note, you just double click on it. It's kind of like Melodyne. We're just going to go through and just double click on things to get it centered. And then we can also fine tune the adjustment by clicking and dragging the note to exactly where it needs to go.
Girl, you the finest chick.
You'll see that there's a bunch of these little handles that pop up when you put your mouse over a note. This allows you to control the drift, the level of the audio, and then also this allows us to adjust the amount of correction we want to apply. If we want to just tighten up this waveform and make it closer to the pitch and get rid of all the little fluctuations, there's actually a handle up here. It's kind of hard to see because this label goes over it, but you're just going to click on that and then pull it up and down. Now, before we do that, let's get rid of that slide in because we want to leave a little bit of that natural inflection. So then we're going to just take this, slide it up to about where the pitch center is, and if you want to do it quickly, you just double click on it and it'll go right to it. Slide this one up, and this is what it sounds like.
Girl, you the finest chick.
So right here, you might see some of these like gradient blobs here. This is an unvoiced component, so if you click on it, it'll say unvoiced. It's just like the S's and T sounds. A lot of times this will be like where the sibilant regions are. So you can actually just lower the level of this so it's not super bright in your face. So if you have like a really sharp S sound, you can just go in and lower just the S's. So it's still a little bit wavy, so we can just highlight a bunch of the notes and then grab this handle on top and then just tighten up the performance a little bit more.
Chick that I seen all night in this club. Excuse me.
So let's do it here as well.
Chick that.
So this note's pretty good, but it just kind of slides in too slowly for me. So we can use the Shaper tool, which is a new feature in Revoice, and it allows us basically to maintain the shape or the natural inflection of this vocal, but make the adjustments in the pitch. So you're basically just going to make some clicks around the region that you want to adjust, and then you can fine-tune the performance without really modulating or changing that inflection or the emotion there. This is an incredibly powerful tool. So if we want to just knock this down, make this a little tighter without affecting any of this other stuff, you just gonna take a shaper tool, click around what you want to change, and then just grab onto that little handle. So you can go through really quickly and make just visually tighten things up, right? So we can fix that, keep going. This is kind of a little out of control. So we're just gonna pull that down. So this actually should be 2 notes. So we can go to our cutter tool, which is by pushing letter I, split it, push O, slide that up to the right note by double clicking, and go back to our shaper tool, which is letter V. And then we can just fix all these little things. Sometimes Revoice will automatically detect what you probably want to fix for you. So if we come over here and just click this, it identified this is probably a problematic area, and it added a handle automatically. So you can very quickly come in and use these automatically generated handles to tune your vocals very quickly in exactly the way you want, which is a big distinguishing factor about this workflow.
You the finest chick that I seen all night in this club. Excuse me, I'm
So now that we've pitched our lead vocal, let's apply the timing and the pitch melody to all these other vocal takes. So to do this, make sure you have it set to selector tool and click on our lead track. Then we're going to go to tracks and then match use selected track as guide. We do want to match timing, pitch, and level, or if you want to generate some doubles, you can change this to doubler and then it'll automatically generate as many doubles as you want. So for the initial input, start and end, I like to have it as selected audio, so it'll do the full length of the audio. If you just want to do a certain region, you can just click in this bar, define a region, and then tell it to just do the playback range. There's a bunch of presets that you can use to make this really fast. So in this case, because we have harmonies and we have octaves and we want to time and tune everything, we're actually going to make sure that we choose a setting that has this plus tune harmony feature on it. It's going to only take the harmonies and match it to the nearest semitone and not try to force it to that lead vocal. Assign this a process group. What that does is anytime you go in and make adjustments, like let's say you want to make the alignment a little bit looser or more natural sounding, it will apply that setting to all the different takes. So you don't have to individually go to each track and then adjust that timing. You can just choose this and then make one adjustment and all the harmonies and doubles will automatically adjust. Now we just assign our guide track, which is going to be the pre-chorus main vocal, right? That's this top one. And the double tracks are going to be all the remaining ones. Click New Process, and we are essentially done. If you want to hear just the updated version, you can click the play button.
girl, you the finest chick that I seen all night in this club. Excuse me, I'm drunk. I've been
And it's literally perfect. We go back to the original group.
finest chick that I seen all night in this club. Excuse me, I'm drunk.
If we want to make any adjustments to how tight it's timed or tuned, you just have to click on the group, the top group track, which is right here. It says group 1. Click this little arrow button, and it's going to bring up all the settings that you can make. If you want to make it tighter, you can go to the timing button and then just tighten it up. Or if you want it looser, you can just increase the timing. You also have an option to protect the transients, and then you can also set it up so that it won't shift it beyond a certain amount. So if something is like way off, or maybe there's like wrong words or something, you can set this up to just kind of ignore that. You have a bunch of different alignment options. I find that normal flexibility works for most cases. So let's keep it nice and tight because we want this to be really polished sounding. I'm going to try to keep it underneath 20 milliseconds. Let's see what that sounds like.
The finest chick that I seen all night in this club. Excuse me, I'm drunk. I've been on all kinds of
I mean, it almost sounds like a single track, right? The closer you get it to perfect, the more and more it's going to sound mono. So we want a little bit of pitch looseness there just to kind of give it a natural feel. And there's a few different modes that you can use to tune the vocals. They're all here. I usually use nearest octave because then if I have an octave track, it will tune it to that as well. Target pitch just basically assigns how close to that guide track you want the pitch to be. I usually have it close to 100. And then the smart pitch mode is important if you have vocal harmonies that are not perfect octaves or the same note as the guide track. So if you have a third or a fifth above or below or whatever, you're going to want to make sure you do match unison and tune non-unison notes. If you do match all to guide, it's going to force all of the individual notes to perfectly match that guide track, which is not what we want. If you want to do creative effects like change the format, you can do that here so it sounds kind of like monstery. Let's play that.
Chick that I seen all night in this
Or
club. Excuse me,
chipmunky.
I'm drunk, I've been on all kinds of shit. I don't know what time it is, but I know I'm trying to hit. Tell me if you wanna.
So kind of fun creative options. And this is awesome. You can also automatically adjust the vocal level. So if you have a vocalist that kind of fades in and out of the microphone and you have a really, really good take, but the background vocals or the doubles are kind of all over the place in terms of level, you can smooth out the whole performance by clicking that level feature. I usually don't use this that much because I spend a lot of time capturing a good performance, but not everybody has that luxury. Let's check out the harmony, okay? Because this is where Revoice 4 kind of failed.
Tell me if you wanna ride to the east side and get faded like some Levi's. Hollis the amber.
So it left the harmonies. It detected that they were there and left them alone and basically just tuned it to the nearest semitone. Now in Revoice 4 Pro, it would do this all the time,
Side and get faded like some Levi's. Hollis the amber crabby fish.
right? You lose your harmonies, but now that's not an issue with Revoice Pro 5. Now, if we want to go in and make any further adjustments, let's say something went wrong. So we just click on that icon to expand it. You might notice that there's no notes. That's because we're in the wrong pitch range. So you might have to use this little slider bar here to find where the notes are. And then we can tighten up any of the notes that we think might not sound right. So then we just click that little zoom button to go back to our session. And we have that perfectly taken care of. What about the low octave? Let's listen to that. It should already be time aligned and perfectly in tune. Here we go.
I seen all night in this club. Excuse me, I'm drunk. I've been on all kinds of shit. I don't know what time it is.
I just really, really appreciate how good that is, right? If we go to the original,
But I know I'm trying to hit. Tell me
it starts falling out of pitch here. We go back to our DAW because we use this plugin to link Revoice Session to this project. Everything should be perfectly tuned and time aligned. So let's do before and after. Here we go. Here's the before
I don't know what time it is, but I know I'm trying to hit.
and with.
I don't know what time it is, but I know I'm trying to hit. All night in this club. Excuse me, I'm drunk. I've been on all kinds of shit. I don't know what time it is, but I know I'm trying to hit.
I know which one I prefer. I think Revoice Pro 5 is the update that a lot of people have been waiting for, with a much improved and faster workflow and more powerful vocal tuning features. I personally think this software will become an indispensable part of my editing workflow, which means I now need to update my vocal editing course to include the software because I'll probably be using it a lot. So should you buy this software? You hate tuning or timing vocals? Probably should buy it. If you have too much going on with your life and you want more free time to enjoy the finer things, and you also tune and time vocals, buy it. If you're tuning and timing vocal harmonies by hand and they still don't sound that good, probably should buy it. If you're writing music that's pretty minimalistic and you usually have one vocal track with maybe one additional harmony, I actually don't think you should buy it. This software is total overkill for that type of situation. You can either edit those harmonies by hand or check out something like Vocal Line Project. It's going to really help tighten up that harmony. And it's a lot cheaper. If you're a rapper who likes to layer multiple vocal takes to get a thicker sound, Revoice Pro is a good option, but something like Vocal Line Project or Vocal Line Ultra might be a cheaper option and will probably sound just as good as Revoice. If you're on the fence about if you should get the software or not, you can always just download a free trial on the Synchro Arts website. I think it's at least worth keeping this software on your radar if you do a lot of vocal editing. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that I've literally saved hundreds of hours of editing by using these Synchro Arts products. It really is the fastest way to get your music sounding tight and professional with the smallest amount of effort. Now, if you want to go deeper into vocal editing and learn all the secrets that the pros are using to make their vocals sound professional and polished, I have a super affordable mini course that'll teach you everything you need to know. This mini course is called Edit Vocals Like a Pro, and it'll help build that foundation for you so that when you use tools like Revoice Pro, you'll be able to make all the right decisions when you edit your vocals. There's even a discount code in the description if you want to check that course out. It's my way of saying thank you for spending your time with me today. My name is Bobby Balo. I'm the mixing and mastering engineer at Raytown Productions, and I'll see you in another video.